The early 1980s hyperinflation set the stage for the Fed's current actions. The Fed boosts interest rates and tightens the money supply to cool an overheated economy. This results in economic contraction, which eventually breaks the back of inflation at the cost of a recession. That's how it happened back then, and the Fed is now on the same path toward what many see as an unavoidable economic downturn. In this video, we will take a look at how the greatest crisis in history has already begun. The global economy is facing tough times as a result of recent interest rate hikes, and there is a growing concern that what is coming could be more than just a recession. In fact, many experts believe that the current economic challenges are just the tip of the iceberg and that the world is on the brink of a financial crisis. Interest rate hikes are implemented by central banks in order to curb inflation and keep the economy stable. However, these hikes often result in an increase in the cost of borrowing, making it more difficult for individuals and businesses to access credit. This in turn slows down spending, causing a decline in economic activity. The recent interest rate hikes have already caused a slowdown in the global economy, with many countries facing declining GDP, rising unemployment, and a decline in consumer confidence. According to Forbes, the storm will hit towards the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024. Its argument is based on history, which demonstrates a one-year lag between monetary policy changes and the real-world economic impact of those adjustments. Others believe that the recession will arrive earlier, around mid-year, but there is a strong consensus that 2023 will bring economic catastrophe. The term recession conjures up thoughts of 2008, when foreclosure signs appeared like tombstones on every front lawn on the block in the worst affected communities. A downturn in 2023, on the other hand, will most certainly play out very differently, necessitating alternative planning and preparations. Banks frequently give cheap and easy credit to underqualified borrowers in the run-up to the Great Recession to finance hazardous and reckless subprime mortgages under the most lax of regulation. When the housing bubble broke, banks and investors were left holding trillions of dollars in worthless mortgages and mortgage-backed securities. Inflation drove the housing market to new highs in 2021, but it was not a bubble. The current economic environment is further complicated by the high levels of debt that many countries are facing. Many countries have taken on significant amounts of debt in order to finance their response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is putting additional pressure on their economies. If interest rates continue to rise, the cost of servicing this debt will increase, leading to even greater economic challenges. Many countries are now facing low economic growth, which is making it more difficult for businesses to invest and grow, and for individuals to find jobs and increase their earnings. The rate of economic growth is a key indicator of the health of an economy, and low growth can lead to decreased investment, lower levels of employment, and declining consumer confidence. In order to support economic growth, governments must implement policies that encourage investment, promote innovation, and support job creation. Supply chain issues, inventory shortages, a lumber crisis, COVID shutdowns, and record low interest rates, and the rise of remote work all contributed to inflationary pressures. But none of these pressures indicate widespread rot of the type that underpinned the housing market just before the Great Recession. It's not like 2008, because the recent expansion hasn't been driven by ARM mortgages provided to people who couldn't pay them. We still see folks who are underwater on their mortgages, and some foreclosures, but they will be a fraction of what we saw back then. We've already witnessed the start of this market correction, and we know that property values will continue to fall. However, this is a correction rather than a recession. The events of 2008 were too quick and tumultuous to forecast. Yet, CNN, Moody's, and Goldman Sachs predict that 2023 will not see a catastrophic fall like the one that sank that global economy in 2008. Instead, they are preparing for a gradual slow recession, or perhaps a soft landing that will suffocate inflation without choking prosperity. In either case, the more moderate conditions offer opportunities to profit. Unemployment reached 10% in 2009 during the Great Recession. Despite inflation, bear stocks, and a cooling property market, the seemingly indomitable employment market continues to push through, according to the December 2022 jobs report. The recent economic challenges have exacerbated existing inequalities, with many low-income households and small businesses struggling to make ends meet. The unequal distribution of wealth and income can lead to social unrest and political instability, and can also slow down economic growth by reducing consumer spending. In order to address rising inequality, governments must implement policies that promote greater equality, such as increasing the minimum wage, supporting small businesses, and investing in education and job training programs. The ongoing economic struggles have caused volatility in financial markets, making it more difficult for investors to make informed decisions and causing further uncertainty in the economy Financial market volatility can lead to decreased investment, reduced consumer confidence, and decreased economic activity. In order to promote financial stability, governments and central banks must work together to implement policies that promote greater transparency and reduce volatility, such as increased regulation of financial markets and greater oversight of financial institutions. However, if there is a recession, unemployment will almost certainly rise. It is impossible to predict if it will return to double digits, but there are steps you can take now to protect yourself from job loss later in the year. If you're concerned about your job security during a recession, it's a smart idea to work on improving your abilities and experience. This might increase your value to your current job or make you more appealing to future employers. Consider networking and developing contacts within your business as well, since these connections may be vital sources of support and opportunity during difficult economic times. You should also avoid changing jobs right now if possible. With rising unemployment and declining consumer confidence, many households are reducing their spending, further slowing down economic activity. Consumer spending is a key driver of economic growth. Any decline in spending can lead to decreased investment, lower levels of employment, and reduced economic activity. In order to support consumer spending, governments must implement policies that increase consumer confidence, such as reducing unemployment and promoting job growth. The economic struggles have led to a decline in public and private investment in infrastructure, which is crucial for supporting long-term economic growth. Infrastructure investments can create jobs, support innovation, and promote greater economic efficiency. In order to address the lack of investment in infrastructure, governments must increase investment in key areas, such as transportation, energy, and communication networks. If the recession arrives sooner than expected, you may be trapped seeking work in a contracting labor market. Even if you acquire a job before the downturn, you'll be at the bottom of the totem pole and most vulnerable to layoffs. The good news is that people now are considerably better equipped than they were in 2008 to deal with a challenging job market. The side hustle culture was in its infancy at the time, but the gig economy is now a force of nature. By starting a side business now, or at least planning for one, you'll have at least some stopgap income to fall back on if you lose your work in a few months, rather than relying solely on your savings. One constant throughout all recessions is that it is always best to be in top shape before a storm. Consider paying off high-interest debt as soon as feasible to protect your finances from a recession. Your credit score is also an extremely significant factor to consider while entering a recession. When a recession hits, an individual's credit score becomes even more essential since they are forced to take on additional credit or debt. Making consistent payments is an important part of managing a decent credit score. Don't worry about paying off the entire balance all at once. Instead, always have money set aside for monthly installments. In conclusion, the global economy is facing significant challenges as a result of recent interest rate hikes. And there is a growing concern that what is coming could be much worse than just a recession. While there is no way to know for certain when the global economy will turn for the better, it is clear that the current challenges are complex and multifaceted, and that a sustained recovery will require a coordinated global response. Until then, it is important for individuals and businesses to remain vigilant and prepared for challenges ahead. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting video.